In the headlines for this hour on VTV News, Prime Minister attends Vietnam International Defense Expo 2024 opening ceremony. And the 12th Vietnam-India People's Friendship Festival kicks off in Vĩnh Phúc. Later on in our world news, Fed signals slower interest rate cuts in 2025 amid weaker economic outlook.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. Prime Minister Phie and other party and state officials attended the opening ceremony of the Vietnam International Defense Expo 2024 at Gia Lâm Airfield in Hanoi on December 19th. The ceremony opened with a welcoming artistic program showcasing Vietnam's land, people, aspiration for peace and spirit of global connection. Over 2,000 officers, soldiers, and artists from the Vietnam People's Army performed in the program, with 66 international delegations and more than 240 defense industry enterprises from 49 countries participating. The Prime Minister expressed confidence that the exhibition would be highly successful, opening up promising opportunities for cooperation under the spirit of peace, friendship, cooperation, and development. Vietnam ranks among the 15 largest economies in Asia, according to statistics site Stat. The organization emphasizes that Vietnam is developing rapidly thanks to the booming trend of manufacturing and foreign investment. Stat forecasts that Vietnam's economy will reach 12th place in Asia by 2025, with an expected economic size of about $506 billion. The organization also comments that Vietnamese government's target of 8% GDP growth for 2025. According to the ranking, China stands as the largest economy in Asia, with Japan in second place, followed by India and South Korea. In the first 11 months of this year, organizations and individuals engaged in commercial activities paid about $4.2 billion in taxes, a 22% increase from the same period last year. The e-commerce market is projected to exceed $25 billion this year. Currently, 116 foreign suppliers, including Google, Meta, Microsoft, TikTok, Netflix, and Apple, have registered for tax through electronic information portal. E-commerce platforms have shared seller information with tax authorities, while businesses and individuals have voluntarily complied with tax declarations and payment regulations. The tech sector has also implemented various measures to monitor e-commerce revenue and sales. The rapid growth of e-commerce has led to an increase in commercial fraud, especially counterfeit goods, intellectual property violations, and products with unclear origins. As a result, effective regulatory policies are urgently needed to manage the trade of goods via e-commerce platforms.
The Hanoi Express Customs Department processes thousands of parcels daily. Many shipments remain unclaimed and have vague or incomplete recipient addresses. These parcels often come through key routes known for illegal goods entering Vietnam, a pattern frequently detected by customs authorities.
The buying and importing of goods via these platforms carry the risk of counterfeit products, intellectual property violations, or goods that fail to meet tax exemption requirements.
The Customs Department is currently proposing a new decree to address these challenges. This decree will establish a legal framework for cross-border e-commerce trade, focusing on entities involved in e-commerce activities, including marketplace operators, logistics companies, and express delivery services.
This system will connect and share information with e-commerce platforms, transport companies, specialized regulatory bodies, customs agents, and express mail services. Customs procedures will become more transparent and clear.
the customs sector is working to create a legal and policy framework that promotes e-commerce development while ensuring seamless operations among buyers, platforms, manufacturers, and government authorities. At the same time, the Customs Department recognizes the need to continue improving its digital system to meet these evolving demands.
The tax sector has achieved its state budget collection target 1 month ahead of schedule, reaching the highest level ever recorded. Domestic revenue has exceeded $55 billion, with 60 out of 63 localities surpassing their revenue estimates this year. Additionally, 19 out of 20 regions' revenue items and tax rate have exceeded projections. To boost economic development resources, the tax sector is intensifying collections efforts in the year's final date. The General Department of Taxation has also launched an electronic information portal where households and business individuals can register for e-commerce tax declarations and payments. Home to nearly 10 million people, Hanoi ranks among Vietnam's largest consumers of agriculture products and food. With demand surging 20 to 30% during the year-end period, the city must ensure a stable supply of fresh produce for Tết holiday.
This cooperative has planted 15 hectares of new, high-yield, high-quality potato varieties on former rice farmland. This switch to potato cultivation not only maximizes land use during winter, but also improves soil quality while increasing income.
We are developing 15 hectares of potatoes, with 2 varieties, Atlantic and Marabelle, that are in high demand during Tết. We expect to harvest around January 22nd to 23rd to sell with higher prices.
Taking advantage of the fertile alluvial soil and lower pest activity during this time of year, farms and cooperatives in Hanoi's suburban districts are growing quick harvest leafy vegetables to meet the rising demand for fresh produce during the year-end period. The city has issued Resolution 38 to support the recovery of production. We are guiding cooperatives to implement this and ensuring that vegetable growers focus on providing fresh produce for Tết.
With more than 30,000 hectares of winter crops, we can ensure an adequate supply of vegetables for the capital. Our department is coordinating with cooperatives and local farmers to ensure proper cultivation, select suitable vegetable varieties, and meet consumer needs during Tết.
Winter is the main growing season for many regions and peak period for agricultural consumption. In addition to local production, Hanoi is working with other provinces and cities to secure a safe, diverse, and high-quality food supply for the capital's year-end market.
Livestock and food processing companies are working hard to maintain high production levels to meet increased demand during the year-end season. Major distributors have also spent months preparing a diverse range of products from food and beverages to consumer goods to serve the market effectively.
Using herbal farming methods, Tuan's probiotic chicken farm maintains a consistent stock of 5,000 chickens. The flock is managed in 3 phases to accommodate demand before, during, and after the Lunar New Year.
My flock here consists of 1,500 chickens that I've been raising for over 3 months. Just in time for Tết, they will be ready for sale. My primary markets are Hanoi and Saigon. I maintain stable prices without any increases.
Alongside poultry farms, Phie's family-owned food processing facility is also fully prepared for Tết orders. Their products such as pork rolls, sausages, and meatloaf are certified with a 3-star OCOP rating, earning customers' trust. On regular days, the facility sells 1.7 tons, but during Tết, orders increase by 2.5 times.
I had to coordinate with the slaughterhouse 45 days in advance to ensure they prepared the necessary supply sources for my orders. I even paid them in advance to make sure the prices remained stable and were not increased.
At the end of the year, including the Lunar New Year, customer purchasing power increases by 20 to 30%. Based on this growth, we developed specific plans 2 to 3 months in advance. First, we work with partners to ensure stable supply, then maintain price stability for consumers.
From now until the Lunar New Year, Hanoi will boost the supply of Tết goods at the supermarkets, retail locations, and old car products. The city will also organize product exhibitions and demonstrations to explore new market opportunities.
And before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at foreign exchange rate for today, December 19th. Coming up next on VTV News, sustainable tourism meets forest conservation. And the 12th Vietnam-India People's Friendship Festival kicks off in Vĩnh Phúc. Unseasonable floods have struck Đơn Dương district in Lâm Đồng province, devastating vegetable fields and leaving farmers without income. While rain typically ends by the 10th lunar month in the southern central highlands, unusual downpours have continued into the 11th lunar month, severely impacting this key vegetable growing region.
Though the floodwaters have receded and the sun is now shining, Mr. Nhan's week-old tomato garden could not be saved. The flood wiped out his entire 2,000 square meters garden. Even more concerning is the loss of arable land, eroded by floodwaters.
Now, digging deeper reveals only rocks beneath the soil. The situation is dire.
The recent downpour lasted for 9 days in Đơn Dương district. As a result, the Da Nhiem hydropower plant had to release water to regulate the Đơn Dương reservoir, leading to a scenario residents feared. Nearly all vegetable fields along the Da Nhiem River were submerged in floodwaters. In Dharan alone, more than 8 hectares of vegetable farmland were flooded. Phung's family relies entirely on their tomato garden, which usually produces 10 tons per harvest. This season, he had only managed to harvest a few quintals before floodwaters engulfed the garden. Now, nothing can be salvaged since tomatoes that have been submerged rot from the inside out.
It's quite difficult to find capital to start over because I've already invested everything into this.
Farmers here mainly grow vegetables, but when floodwaters submerge the fields, mud covers the crops, causing severe damage. In mildly impacted areas, farmers can recover and tend to the crops, but severely damaged fields will need to be replanted.
These late floods have caused devastating losses. Though farmers in the key vegetable-growing region of Đơn Dương, Lâm Đồng have weathered natural disasters before, recovery remains challenging. While everyone is working hard to rebuild after the floods, many fields will not be ready for the crucial date vegetable season.
With its rare natural landscape and rich Thai culture heritage, Pu Luang Nature Reserve is steadily developing its ecotourism model. Through the skillful guidance of forest rangers and the Reserve Management Board, local residents have embraced this tourism initiative, which helps preserve the forest while creating the new income opportunities for the community.
After participating in a training course for ecotourism development in core forest communities, Ms. Ting gained professional skills for serving tourists. The village women regularly remind one another that forest protection ensures their livelihoods and maintains the natural beauty that attracts visitors.
By preserving the forest, we maintain clear water resources and beautiful natural landscapes that attract international tourists.
In addition to patrolling and protecting the forest, the local forest rangers take on another important role, providing vocational guidance and supporting villagers in improving their livelihoods.
We focus on sharing information that the villagers can easily understand, remember, and put into practice.
We organize training sections, disseminate information through loudspeakers, distribute flyers and posters, and employ various methods such as competitions and dramatized performances to effectively communicate forest management, protection, and fire prevention efforts.
Thanks to these flexible and practical approaches, violations of forestry laws in Phu Luang have significantly decreased in recent times. Forest rangers and relevant authorities hope that with this balanced approach of being both flexible and firm, the forest here will continue to be preserved not only as a destination for tourists, but also sustainable livelihood for the local community.
The Hanoi-Ho Chi Minh City fly route ranks 4th among the world's busiest route with more than 10.6 million seats sold this year. According to the allied travel data provider OAG, Vietnam has consistently remained in the top 10 markets for busiest domestic routes worldwide since 2017. The route significance is clear, with 1 in every 5 domestic passengers in Vietnam traveling between Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. The 12th Vietnam-India People's Friendship Festival officially kicks off in Vĩnh Phúc province on the evening of December 18th. The event, which will run for 6 days, includes a series of forums, meetings, and cultural exchanges in Hanoi, Vĩnh Phúc, and Ho Chi Minh City. This festival provides an opportunity for the two countries to enhance cultural exchanges, share experiences, and strengthen cooperation in the fields of economic, culture, and society.
At the opening ceremony, the Indian delegation presented a variety of traditional dance and musical performances. Ritika, a 16-year-old from Tamil Nadu, performed the traditional Karakatam dance for the first time in Vietnam, showcasing her confidence and talent.
I was really amazed by your history, your culture, and everything that I've witnessed here, the architecture, the religion, the type of food you guys eat, and it was really wonderful experiencing the culture that we follow, the humanity of our nation. I'll be glad to perform that over here.
Vietnamese artists also contributed to the festival, presenting performances such as the conical hat and rural paintings, helping to promote cultural exchange between the two nations.
We are bringing contemporary folk dances as well as the most distinctive traditional folk dances of Vietnam to share with our international friends. We hope to leave a beautiful impression of Vietnamese culture and people on our Indian friends.
This year's festival has seen participation from a wide range of delegates, including artists, politicians, scholars, and students from both Vietnam and India.
This event serves as a forum and an opportunity for the people of Vietnam and India to meet, exchange information, and strengthen mutual understanding. It also highlights the efforts of both nations' governments and peoples in promoting socio-economic development and enhancing the long-standing friendship.
Our delegation is here to strengthen and promote our relations with the Vietnamese people in different spheres like in tourism, in education, among young people, and also to develop more trade between India and Vietnam.
On the afternoon of December 18th, the Indian delegation met with the Vĩnh Phúc Provincial Party Committee. Both sides discussed opportunities to expand cooperation between Vĩnh Phúc and Indian localities and businesses. The Indian delegation will continue its cultural exchange activities in Vĩnh Phúc and Ho Chi Minh City until December 21st.
Commemorating the 80th anniversary of the Vietnam People's Army and the 35th anniversary of National Defense Day, the documentary exhibition Heroic Army, Strong National Defense opened Thursday morning in the National Library. The exhibition featured 2 main sections: the Vietnam People's Army 80 years of construction and development, and National Defense Day's role in strengthening national defense. Through 800 historical documents, the exhibition vividly illustrates the Vietnam People's Army formation, combat history, and development throughout its 80-year journey. Alongside efforts to build a strong foundations of national unity, this display aims to inspire pride and solidarity among the party, army, and peoples in their unified missions to protect the fatherland. The exhibition runs until December 30th. For nearly 90 years, a traditional craft has been thriving in the Mekong Delta, one that requires meticulous attention to details to create vibrant pieces that once adorned many local houses. Like many traditional trades, this art of glass painting is slowly disappearing. Fortunately, there are still dedicated artisans who are passionate about preserving this cultural heritage.
Glass painting veterans like Lê Thanh Hoa can hardly recall when exactly the craft began in Ba Viet market. What they do know is that the golden age of this craft was in the 1990s, when hundreds of families in the village were involved in making glass paintings.
Back then, every household in the village was making glass paintings. Even the elderly and children were involved. Everyone had their own tasks in the process. That was how it was in the past.
Each completed glass painting undergoes about 10 steps, though they can vary depending on the type of painting. The most intricate and painstaking step, though, is drawing the black line.
Black line artists are extremely rare. Someone skilled in the black line technique is very hard to come by.
The most distinctive feature of glass painting is its reverse technique, meaning the final details are painted first. Every vibrant stroke carries a meaningful story, conveying deep educational values, celebrating good virtues, and promoting positive actions. While glass paintings were once in high demand, they now face stiff competition from other art forms. As a result, many admire the craft, but only a few have managed to sustain it over the decades.
I've always wanted to preserve the craft passed down from my ancestors, the traditional trade, and I can't just let it go.
Even today, there are still people who bring the unique cultural tradition of glass painting into homes everywhere. This is their way of preserving the soul of their heritage.
Coming up next in our World News, Fed signals slower interest rate cuts in 2025 amid weaker economic outlook. And Germany to expand military forces amid NATO defense goals. On December 18th, the U.S. Central Bank's policy-setting Federal Open Market Committee concluded its final policy meeting for 2024. Although the expected interest rate cut was implemented, policy signal point to a less optimistic economic outlook for the coming year.
The Federal Open Market voted to lower the federal funds rate by an additional 0.25 percentage points. The Fed has now made 3 consecutive rate cuts this year.
As I said, and that's just because we've reduced our policy rate by 100 basis points. We're significantly closer to neutral. We still think where we are is meaningfully restrictive, and I think from this point forward, it's appropriate to move cautiously and look for progress on inflation.
The Fed's dot plot indicates only 2 potential rate reductions in 2025, each at 0.25 percentage points. On the market, all 3 major U.S. stock indexes closed sharply lower, while the Fed is likely to continue its rate-cutting trend. The pace and extent of these adjustments may become less predictable due to anticipated changes in U.S. economic policies.
Germany plans to expand its armed forces to 230,000 personnel and allocate a record 20 billion euros for new weapon procurement. This move is part of Germany's NATO defense commitments. NATO has requested 35 to 50 additional brigades, equivalent to 105,000 to 350,000 troops, to strengthen defense capabilities against potential threats. On December 18th, Germany Budget Committee approved the 20 billion euros defense package for military equipment acquisition. The European Commission (EC) has officially opened an investigation into TikTok, the popular short video social media platforms, over potential violations of the Digital Services Act. This follows the cancellations of Romania presidential elections, which were marred by allegations of election violations, with TikTok suspected of playing a role. The EC investigation will focus on how TikTok manages risk during election period. If found guilty, TikTok could face severe penalties, including the possibility of being banned across the European Union. On December 19, Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold a live dialogue with Russian citizens alongside his annual year-end press conference titled Year-End Summary with Vladimir Putin. For the first time, GigaChat, a Russian-developed AI chatbot, has been integrated into the question processing system. The AI swiftly categorizes incoming queries, a task that previously consumed substantial staff time at the question reception center. This innovation is designed to streamline Putin's public interactions, allowing him to address citizens' concerns more efficiently. And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's all the news for today. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.